Pride and Prejudice Audio Anthology, Part 1. Constellation, Rue. Rue came into our lives like the first star before a golden dusk. She was a quiet child who loved her best friend, our miniature poodle Mocha. By the time she was 3, I knew something wasn't quite right. She never spoke more than a few words to us. She rarely spoke to anyone except her Mocha. I remember the moment the doctor said she was autistic. He said she would never live a normal life, never go to school, never live on her own, never have her own family, never this, never that. He kept repeating that word, never. His nevers tried putting all these limits on her. He wanted to run thousands of dollars of tests on her, like some kind of experiment. We couldn't afford it, and my daughter was not a rat. So I never took her back to him. I vowed to my daughter and God she would never be limited. I began to learn everything I could to aid her, and was blessed with a wonderful rural elementary with teachers willing to help. The eclipse lasted only for a while, a halo of light around the darkness before the sun shined again. We promised our golden star she would shine. As she grew, she worked hard to learn ways to move in the world where what is now called neurodivergence was treated as a mental disease and weakness. She practiced how to keep herself safe, deal with the overwhelming stimulus of the world around her, and mask in most social situations. With patience and determination on her and our whole family's part, Rue overcame all the nevers. Drawing her creativity out with paints and colored pencils on paper, then art tablets. We took her to beautiful places and museums to encourage her. Anything she needed to create, we found a way to give her. She sees the world in ways that fascinate and sometimes confound me. She feels it too. Feels everything 10 times more than me. And love? She loved everyone purely, but not in the way her dad and I do, or her sisters do. She loves them for their heart, their minds, and their art, and nothing more. That was where her struggle began. Rue is an aromantic asexual. In a culture that sexualizes everything and everyone, she doesn't see it, doesn't feel it, doesn't understand it, or want anything to do with it. Her beauty, quietness, and artistic talent made her noticed, wanted, desired, and even got her a stalker. Being Aro Ace made her a target to be bullied by those who saw relationships and sexual activity as validation for their self-identity. It started when she was a freshman. They tormented her, and through her tears, our entire family. Other mothers repeatedly asked me if I could persuade her to go out with their sons, or invited her to family events. No, she doesn't date. She doesn't want to date. She doesn't want a relationship until after college. My excuses meant nothing. They were so convinced that once she started dating, she'd like it. Their desire for my Rue, with her good manners, quiet demeanor, work ethic, and gentle soul, to date their sons, spread to Rue's peers at church and school. At first she ignored the comments, but Rue, you and insert boy's name here would be such a cute couple. As the years passed, it became a constant harassment that overshadowed my evening star every day like a storm cloud. She would come home and thunder, or fall silent as her tears drowned her. Her frustration smoldered like a lightning-struck tree, waiting to catch fire, and we, her family, were usually the ones burned. Her middle sister Mara rallied those few of Rue's peers who understood Rue's nature, and her own friends, as Rue withdrew. The repressed tears of my eldest struggled to cope in a community that would not accept her as autistic Aro Ace, became the fuel of my middle's inferno. Those Mara gathered stood as a wall around Rue, but many times the disparaging murmurs and mocking got through. "You're too pretty to be asexual. If you were, you would cut off your hair." "You're not normal. It's not normal to not want to be touched or hugged." "So you're some kind of gay? Why don't you have a girlfriend, or a girlfriend and a boyfriend?" Her senior year was the worst. Even spending half of every day away from campus in college classes didn't stop those who demanded she date someone. They whispered loudly that she wasn't normal for not wanting to date. Some even said it to her face. They would purposely and graphically talk about sex just to make her squirm, insisting she should try it. "How do you know you're whatever Aro is if you've never kissed or had sex? You should do that before you decide." "I don't think you're asexual. You're just a girl who's too scared to screw around. Sex is great." There were those who would even try to poke or touch her without her consent, then claim they were just joking or trying to tickle her. Rue's anxiety and stress spiraled like a hurricane to unimaginable levels. Rue endured it all until graduation. After the senior trip, the sweet, artistic, gentle soul we so diligently nurtured and tried to prepare for the world spat forth a tearful, rage-filled tirade against all her fellow graduates but 3, vowing to never again see or speak to the people she had known or met since first grade. She hated them now because they couldn't accept her choice and her nature and tried to force their normal on her. They went after her sisters through their younger siblings. Mara fought back with fierce words and vehement advocacy. Jenz, so young, began to withdraw into herself, then would explode like a supernova, and I would get a call about her moodiness. The rumors were the worst. The loudest, "Is Rue asexual because she's autistic, or is she just defective all around? Poor girl, she'll never succeed. Such a burden on her family and our school." Well, Rue proved she wasn't a defective person through her accomplishments. She is a talented artist and earned her first multimedia graphics degree, paying for it with grants and scholarships, while all but one of her fellow graduates dropped out of college. I watched her overcome all the nevers, but it still feels like I failed her, because part of her believes their lies, that she is a burden and defective. I don't know how to convince her otherwise. Therapy helps, and all I can do is refute their voices and tell her I love her. Their prejudices against her asexuality eclipsed her ability to love, to trust, to be the beautiful star I adored. And in the vastness of the night sky of our sexualized society, she admits she feels utterly alone as an autistic who is also an aromantic asexual. My evening star struggles to shine through the storm clouds, but I know she's there, and someday, when the storm passes, she will shine so brightly. I have 3 vastly different daughters, as different as stars in the sky: an autistic aromantic asexual, an extrovert monogamous bisexual, and a cisgender gamer girl. They share the constellation of our family, and I am proud of how brightly they shine. I'm their mother, and I love the constellation of my little stars. The End, Part 1. Rue. Next, Mara.